So I just wanted to give a little background from, I'm Mashpee, Wampanoag, and from my background, I serve as the tribe's historic preservation officer, and then I have some other civic duties that I do as well. But I'd like to just inform everyone and make everyone aware that, as Jennifer said, as Melissa said, we are on these lands of the Wampanoag people. Originally, there were 69 tribes within the Wampanoag Nation that encompassed all of south and eastern Massachusetts. And now today, there's only a remaining few. Prior to colonization, our oral histories inform us that we've been here since time immemorial. We've been here, science tells us that, confirms that we've been here minimally 15,000 years. There's other science that shows that some of our most ancient sites are under the coastal waters that have been inundated, and the paleo sites are there that would bring us back to 20,000 years. We've seen a lot of things in 20,000 years. The lands have changed a lot in 20,000 years. At one point, you could walk to the islands of Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard, and we've lived here throughout those times. And the way in which we did that, we lived sustainably. We learned from the environment. Our law was the natural law. We lived in coexistence with everything around us as we recognized that we were reliant on each other. The human being is so insignificant, you could remove the human being from the earth and everything else would continue and thrive, actually. And, the other beings, they're all important in their own way. And we recognize the earth as our mother. In our way, we respect it. We understand we don't own it. We borrow it from our future generations. And we're taught to tread lightly as we walk on it throughout our lives. But yet, when the colonizers arrived and started to impose their laws, we recognized that they were inconsistent with our cultural practices. And we've been fighting that to assimilate and adopt their ways for 400 years since. And their ways are driven by capitalism. Not to mention that they left their lands to come over here because they were so oppressed over there. And when they arrived here, what did they do? They oppressed us even more and wanted to strip us. When they first arrived, they described these lands as paradise. And they automatically and right off the bat identified the place as being abundant with resources. And from a perspective of exploiting those resources. And now for 400 years, that's what we've seen. Exploiting of resources, both natural and others. And the East Coast is where it all began. And now, we're starting to see the effects and the world's starting to recognize the consequences that go along with those decisions and those laws. And so we have to do things in a much different way. We have to start taking accountability for our actions. The anthropogenic environment can change just like that. Nature can't change the way it does its business. The animals can't change the way they do their business. But the human being can change relatively in a short manner of time if it's consciously aware of what it's doing wrong and makes amends and changes its direction. And we're trying to do that with green energy. But the green energy is not being done for the right reasons. It's been so incentivized with offsets and stimulated with other mechanisms, financial mechanisms, to where it's incentivized that they're doing it, they're clear-cutting the land because it's the most cost-effective way to do it. Why not put these solar panels on parking lots and buildings? Build them on an urban environment. Don't clear cut thousands of acres or hundreds of acres to put in green energy. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. You're destroying and you're taking away the habitat from the animals that have limited places to go. Everything's been diminished and taken from them. We're building so much, and here in the East, it's more of an issue than even out West. There's very, very little land left, and
you know, our animals that are our relatives, that we were connected to these places and these beings and all these living beings. We have to share this place with everyone, as big and small, the creature. They all have a role. And, you know, and then with the solar panels, you know, strip mining and all the other issues that we have with some of the big industry that has a lot of influence in our political leadership, you know, that's wrong. You know, we need to tread lightly. Everything we do, there's a consequence for everything we do. And we may not see it in our lifetime, but our children and grandchildren will see it. And that's guaranteed. And so we need to be more mindful. You know, this green energy, 25 years from now, nobody knows what they're going to do with all these solar panels, photovoltaic panels. You know, they're environmentally, then nobody knows what to do with them. They don't biodegrade. There's issues with that. You know, it's just a cheap form, is putting a bandaid on a problem. And it's incentivized, you know, with subsidies and such, so that now they're tearing up the woods and taking away the carbon offset from the words escaping me right now, but carbon sequestration that the trees do. They're taking that away to put in green energy when you could have both if you put them on parking lots and buildings. You know, the solar canopies are great. And another issue is, you know, with wind farms and things, we're starting to develop out in the outer continental shelf. There's a lot of unknowns with that. You know, I'm all for green energy, but it has to be done, and people need to do their due diligence, and it has to be done in the right way. There's ancient landforms out there below those waters that are being blasted through. They're unique environments that can be found nowhere else. And it's because the islands of Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard are right there, and they kind of shelter them from the turbidity that changes the rest of the ocean floor. And these places have huge amounts of information in there. So in our way, New Tomas, when we introduce ourselves, New Tomas, you know, I am of these lands. I am part of these lands. These lands are part of me. And so these lands that we walk on, that is our recorded history. We don't write things in books. We put our people back in the earth, and we go back to the earth. And the earth provides for us and grows, and we eat from the earth and drink from the earth. It's a cycle. And so our historic record are in these lands that we walk on, and we share, and we leave for our future generations. And I ask everyone here to, you know, support the native issues, and as we continue to fight and struggle to, hang on to a place to call home. We need your support. We're few in numbers, and, you know, we appreciate the allies that recognize these injustices and the wrongs that are taking place, and we appreciate and want to support you in trying to change the direction in which we go. You know, as legislative groups and our political leaders need to realize that we have to stop putting on such blinders and looking at projects in such a narrow perspective that we say that project's okay. You have to start looking at a broader context and how is all the development that you're doing affecting the region and affecting the larger landscape. And that's the only way to make good choices that are going to be good for future generations. You know, Mashpee, our rivers are so contaminated. Dartmouth just gave us a report that says that Mashpee and Quashnet, that were pristine rivers. Grover Cleveland used to come, and he identified Mashpee as the spot to come hunt and fish because it was so bountiful with all the wildlife. And now Mashpee and Quashnet are the most contaminated rivers in the region. We're discovering PFAS in our rivers from the base. We're seeing the effects of the nitrogen lows from overdevelopment, where all the colonization has, they want to live right on the water. So all your water bodies have houses right along them, and there was no infrastructure with wastewater to protect the waters. You know, so the environment across all levels is being impacted. These things aren't going to be there for our future generations. The tribes are concerned. I'm concerned. I hope you all are concerned, and we need your support to protect all that we share with the environment and our natural resources. You know, we consider them gifts. We don't refer to them as resources. They're gifts from the Creator that were put here for a specific purpose. Everything we need has been put here by the Creator for us to live for thousands of years. And so until we recognize that and stop appreciating those things, we're going to continue to have problems, and they're going to, resurface for future generations. Thank you.